Good evening and salutations, my G fans. Okay, so this episode was, well, like most of the episodes on General Hospital, somewhat kind of all over the place. But I'm going to do my best to sit there and try to tell a somewhat cohesive story, even if they don't bother to. And we're going to start off with Laura. Laura, the queen of bad decision making. She's freaking out, she's jumping, barely got any sleep. Woman looked like she's about to jump out of her skin, right? She walks in the office and Sonny's there. She's like, do you really think this is a good idea for you to be here right now? And Sonny's like, we got to keep up appearances and things of that nature. And, there's a point where Laura's like, maybe I should sit there and tell the cops. I won't put you in it, but, maybe I should sit there and do that. So I was like, listen, at this point, that option is left. Okay. And the only thing you're gonna want to doing is incriminating both of us. Best thing for you to do is do what you've been doing, keep it chill. We're gonna sit there and see each other because, share grandson and Dalton and all this other stuff. You need to just kind of just breathe pretty much. And Marty comes in and Marty has flowers, he's ready to congratulate her, and he's like, oh, and you're here. Now, Sonny is like, oh, well, come on, we share a grandson. Listen, I try not to be a dick when, I have people have different opinions and minds. But one of the things that people have always said to try to defend Laura is they share a grandson. What the hell does that have to do with you being in the damn mayor's office? Okay, yeah, Rocco's in jail right now. Still shouldn't be seen together. Hell, Marty actually sat there and said, "So you're sitting there hanging out with the same guy who nearly cost you the election before." Like that makes sense. Now, look, at some point, Sonny leaves, and Marty starts sitting there just lecturing her on, Sonny's gonna pull her down, and I had the same relationship with Cyrus and everything like that. It's like you don't want to go down that road. But Laura defends him and defends Sonny, and he's always gonna be there for me. We're friends. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, girl, you clearly did not learn a damn thing. But now, she kind of has to sit there and, for the time being. Also, she she sat there and she was like, Sonny would never lie to me. Sonny lied to you when he beat the hell out of Cyrus. You know he lied to you. But you gonna sit there and talk, oh, Sonny's never lied to me. Okay, well, sure. Now, okay, Justine and Nathan. Justine is not there asked Nathan, where's Dalton? He was supposed to be in here and everything like that. He's not here. And she's like, now that the forensics teams is done with the evidence, is contradicting Dalton's story. I'm like, so let me get this straight. Since you decided to go backwards with, procedure, now you realize that he made the department look like Boo Boo the Fool. And see, she's not there thinking that maybe he doesn't want to show. I mean, Nathan's not there thinking that he doesn't want to show because he doesn't want to perjure himself. So, Dante went to go see Rocco and, just being there for more support. Can't sit there and promise that he's going to be out by Thanksgiving. And then calls then calls Nathan. Oh no, go down to the station. They talk for a little bit. And at some point, Nathan's like, listen, if we can't sit there and find him, if we can't find Dalton, it's going to delay the bail hearing. And I'm kind of just like, wait, how is that on Rocco if if Dalton doesn't show up. Dalton's the one that's not there pressing charges. Dalton's the one that was not there pushing this. So why should Rocco have to sit there and pay, staying there longer because Dalton doesn't want to show up or you can't show up? Like that's ridiculous. But then again, this whole operation, this whole arrest and everything like that has just been done ass backwards. So I'm not really too surprised in the sense like, I mean, what's going to happen when he doesn't show up? In general, is Rocco going to have to sit there and stay in jail? I mean, who's actually pressing charges? Is it Dalton or is it the university? Um, Carly's still sitting there playing the long game, but she's not really playing it too well, right? So Jack wakes up. Carly is sitting there just looking at him, plotting and everything like that, and being kind of distant, right? And at one point, Jack is like, listen, are you distant with me because me lying about Vaughn, being a WSB agent. And then Carly tries to cover, and Carly's like, no, this is about the argument that I had with um with Jocelyn about not backing her with Lucas and just trying to stop Lucas from moving him to Sitwell. Now Jack gave her some advice or whatever, but he has to then get called into a meeting. And there's a point where he calls Jocelyn and they talk for a little bit. And she debriefs him about the whole Lucas situation and how he supported Lucas with the move and everything. She don't like it, but Lucas trusts him. And then Lucas, I mean not Lucas. And then Jocelyn is with Vaughn, and she talks about how she doesn't like it. She doesn't like putting Lucas in the situation because she feels like it's more like when things go down, his heartbroken. Him being heartbroken is not the only worry that she has. And Vaughn says, like, yo, listen, if things go sideways and you need to get Lucas out, I got your back. Like after mission, I got you. And then Vaughn leaves and has a conversation with Jack, debriefing and everything. And then towards the end, Jack just arrests Vaughn and basically sits there and says, I told you not to get involved with Jocelyn. And there is a point where before the men came to arrest him, Vaughn was like was telling him about the night that Dalton basically sat there and said that he does have another lab off campus, and he expressed his concerns like, yeah, listen, I brought her in, but I stayed as backup because listen, you putting her in a dangerous situation, so I want to be there in case things went sideways. And that's when Jack was like, was that the only reason why you were there? Next thing you know, he gets arrested. And he's like, listen, this is what happens when people sit there and disobey me. I like Vaughn. Like I said, unlike Dax, Vaughn kept her feet to the fire. I say kept, but he's coming back. Now, Jason shows up at Brit's place, and Brit at this point is like, whatever, let's just get this over with. Jason apologizes for leaving the night before. And basically, he's starting to sit there and put two and two together like, you're talking about just remission and everything like that, but you're not just saying how it happened. And he kind of pretty much figures out, like, was that the reason why you're working at the Five Poppies to sit there and get this treatment to kind of keep your Huntington's disease in check? He's like, listen, I got you. You can trust me. It's like at some point, you're going to need me or somebody to, have your back. Now, Britt is still not happy with the fact that he left last night. And it's like, listen, I can't even sit there and trust you to have a simple conversation without you jetting off for Carly or Sonny. Now, Jason's like, hey, listen, I'm not perfect. And, I'm probably going to want to doing that again. I'm like, Jason, let me just stop you right there. If you're trying to get this woman to sit there and trust you, you saying that most likely when we have another conversation or something happens or whatever, and I want you to trust me, there is going to be a time I'm going to have to sit there and jet back off. But I got you. Like, what? Now Nathan comes and Nathan's not to ask him Brit like have you seen Dalton because he's missing and everything. Sonny goes to see Rocco. And apparently it took a while to get Rocco because when Rocco shows up with the guard, he's all bloodied up and busted lip and bloody nose and stuff like that. And he's like, what happened? Pretty much threatens him like, he pretty much threatens the guard. And then Rocco's like, it's not as bad as it looks or whatever. And basically sit there and say like, the guard stopped it before, they did any serious damage and stuff. And basically Smith is saying that most likely, that beating wound up happening because, Dante's a cop. And Sonny's like, hey, listen, I got your back. People know who I am. Now, you saw in the previews, Brit's basically talking to Rocco and saying that, I guess she was saying that, like, Sonny trying to help is going to make things worse. And they're like, have you not sit there and seen his face? Because, like, it's like, how much worse could it actually sit there and get? I'm like, I hate Smith saying this because, I thought it was stupid that and I still stand by that Laura called Sonny instead of calling the cops. But in this situation, until at least is out of jail, you need somebody like Sonny to sit there and watch your back in jail. You know, you don't need Sonny to sit there and help you cover up a murder and hide a body, and you didn't do it. So I want to make it very clear for people listening there thinking that I'm being like a hypocrite or whatever, which is something that Lucas was there saying to Liz. All those times that she was with Sonny and stuff like that, and having the problem with Marcos. And Liz gave Lucas some great advice. She's like, "Hey, listen, I get it. You're in love with Marco, and you want to, because they talk about how Marcos is still blaming Sonny, and Lucas is like, that. Listen, I got that they were together or whatever, they were close, but he can't put that on Sonny and Natalia's staff. And Liz is pretty much just like, just be sweet. You don't have to sit there and go to war with Sonny and Carly and stuff like that. You can support Marco and be there for Marcos without kicking your family to the curb, which is something that I feel like Lucas is even sitting there thinking about. It's still a hell out of pocket. Now, Carly meets up with Jocelyn and apologizes to Jocelyn for going on him and everything. Um, and talks about how she wants to sit there and make things right with Lucas. And granted, she doesn't like the situation, and Jocelyn's like, I get you don't like it, but right now he made his choice. Don't make him choose between you and Marcos because you're not going to like the results. The problem with that statement is like the fact that you would choose Marcos, a guy you know for like maybe 2 months or 3 months, over your sister would still be out of pocket. But she pretty much is like, let me go and talk to him first before you come in, just to kind of soften him up and kind of give him more rational. Um, but she still wants to support her mother, and she obviously knows that Marco. I mean, she always knows that Sitwell's dangerous, but like just to kind of keep the peace between Carly and Lucas, she's like, all right, let me go on there first. But yeah, the whole thing is crazy. It's one of those things where it's like, and Rocco, you did do this to yourself, right? Like you breaking into a lab was illegal, and yeah, you should have probably went to jail. I don't care if it was for a night or so, you should have went to jail. And unfortunately, these things do wind up happening. Um, I know, like he's all bloodied up and everything like that, and that definitely shouldn't have happened. But like, well, Emma told you not to do it, and y'all dumbasses decided to do it anyway. Um, I do wonder what's going to wind up happening though. Because I said it in my streams for a while, like, all right, well, listen, Dalton's dead. He's the only person that's like, they're really pushing for this whole thing. Um, so like the charges should be dropped unless the university wants to sit there and do something or whatever. But and granted, even if they do, now the evidence is against them, which is crazy because in all reality, you did this shit out of order, and now she's like, yeah, I'm sitting there thinking that like really, like okay, you know what, I'm done sitting there just complaining about that. Anyway, I feel like that's generally about it. Now I might have missed some stuff here or there, and now I most likely I'm actually going to sit there and do a live stream tonight. I normally don't do ones on Mondays, but because Thanksgiving is on Thursday, now streaming on Thursday. Only other time after today be Wednesday and Friday for just regular subscribers. So I'm like, you know what? I wasn't working today. I was like, all right, I got most of the stuff done. I still got to watch Beyond the Gates, but yeah, yeah. We'll do a live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and we'll talk about it all. By the way, for anyone that watches Bold and the Beautiful, I do watch Bold and the Beautiful. So if you're a Bold and the Beautiful fan, you can come through. We can sit there and talk about Bold. I watch all of them. I watch all 5 of the episodes, even though today's episode of Young and Restless, um, I don't, I know what they were doing, but it was still a waste of an episode. So the point is that I watch all 5 of the soap operas. So yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I'll see you on the next video and live stream tonight.